Trust Kerala to be the harbinger of change in India. From visualizing the first IT park in the country, to the first Biennale in Kochi, to the first state communist government. All of them novel to India at the start, but concepts that the country embraces after Kerala launches them. This week was no different in Kerala treading untrodden paths. How does Kerala punch above its weight? With seemingly small things that then ignite the interest of the entire nation. This is T20 World Cup week, so it would be appropriate to start with Kerala's contribution to limited overs cricket for the whole world. If you thought that the first one-day cricket match was played between England and Australia at the Melbourne Cricket Ground in January 1971, this is a correction. That was just the first one-day international match. A good 20 years before that, Kerala had the world's first limited overs cricket tournament, the Puja Knockout Cricket Tournament at the Tripunithura grounds in the outskirts of Kochi, with Kerala Varma Kelappan Thampuran, a member of the Kochi royal family, facing the first ball. Incidentally, Kelappan Thampuran passed away at the age of 96 in March this year, 4 short of a century in life. So what's new that Kerala has been up to this week and in recent times? It took just a letter from Mitra, a class 9 student at the government school in Attapadi, Palakkad district, for all of Kerala to wake up to the issue of gender discrimination in school uniforms and move towards a more gender-neutral attire. Mitra wrote to the state education minister, "Sir, some of my friends and I prefer to wear pants and shirts to school. Why should there be separate dress styles for girls and boys in schools, sir? We learn about gender equality and teachers teach us about it. When boys and girls have equal justice and equal rights, we believe girls should not be discriminated against on the basis of dress." Interestingly, the 106-year-old government lower primary school at Valayan Chirangara in Ernakulam district had introduced gender-neutral 3/4 pants and shirts for boys and girls in 2018. The Kariyambadi government school in Wayanad district had also introduced gender-neutral attire in 2018, while a government school in Ranni in Pathanamthitta district had introduced gender-neutral uniforms a good 7 years earlier in 2014. The state education minister V. Shivankutti commented approvingly, "We need similar efforts to achieve the goal of gender equality in education and other fields." 1989 was a watershed year for Kerala in India in terms of literacy when Kottayam became the first town in the country to be fully literate. The following year, Ernakulam district became the first district in the country to be fully literate, and soon Kerala became the first fully literate state in the country. Today, Kerala stands head and shoulders above India in the literacy rates, but what is significant is that the state has been sustaining that literacy drive, and not even centenarians are left out in the literacy outreach. This week, 104-year-old Kuttiyamma Konti from Ayarkundam in Kottayam district scored 89 marks out of 100 in the state literacy mission exam, to be a star of sorts. I spoke to V.V. Matthew, a district coordinator of the Kerala State Literacy Mission, regarding its interventions in informal education.
നിരക്ഷരമില്ലാത്ത സംസ്ഥാനം എന്നുള്ളതാണ് നമ്മുടെ സങ്കല്പം. അപ്പൊ അത് നിരക്ഷരമില്ലാത്ത അവസ്ഥയിലേക്ക് എത്തുക എന്നുള്ളതിന്റെ ഭാഗമാണ്. കേരളത്തിലെ അനൗപചാരിക വിദ്യാഭ്യാസം പൊതുവിദ്യാഭ്യാസത്തിന് തുല്യമാണ്. അത് ഇന്ത്യയിലെ ഏക സംസ്ഥാനം കേരളം മാത്രമാണ്.
No wonder Kuttiyamma and numerous other super seniors like her are flocking to Kerala State Literacy Mission classes. Kerala has no Taj Mahal or the Qutub Minar or the Ganges or the Ajanta and Ellora caves, but it brands itself world-class with the little it has, like its slow-flowing canals and quaint backwaters. With these seemingly insignificant things, Kerala managed to be in the limelight at the World Travel Mart in London last week, with the world taking note of its experiential tourism at Aimanam village, where tourists experience the magic of everyday activities like making coir fiber out of retted coconut husks or weaving leaf baskets out of coconut fronds. Across India, government officials lord over Indian citizens like the British once did. Kerala has taken the early steps in taming government officials like the Mathur Panchayat in Palakkad district deciding to ban salutations like sir and madam while addressing government officials. More panchayats in Kerala have quickly adopted that style, like the Avinisheri Panchayat in Thrissur district, the Ambalappuzha North Panchayat in Alappuzha district, and the Uzhavur Panchayat in Kottayam district. Hopefully the rest of India will adopt this style, and there will soon be a system where no Indian citizen has to address government officials as sir or madam like Indians once addressed the British. These are some of the small big things that Kerala has triggered this week and in recent times, which will hopefully kindle social change across the country in the coming days. Besides these broad accomplishments, there have been a couple of individual feats as well this week. Vice Admiral R. Harikumar from Kerala is taking over as the Chief of India's Naval Staff on November 30. No surprise really of a naval chief coming from a state which has 44 rivers and a 600-kilometer coastline. And if you didn't notice, McLaren Technology, promoted by Keralite Sergeant Pillai, raised $201 million and debuted on NASDAQ this week. So if Kerala is so good at making so many socio-economic interventions, why is it so high on suicides, divorces, diabetes, and even in supplying volunteers for the ISIS? But those are hallmarks of developed societies too, aren't they? For a state that is so totally global in its outlook, it cannot but reflect global trends, can it? For example, while the world had the Occupy Wall Street movement, Kerala has always had the Occupy State Secretariat Footpath movement, which is a 24/7 365 movement. This video is dedicated to 22-year-old right to information activist Buddhinath Jha from Madhubani district in Bihar, who exposed illegal clinics and was found murdered this week. Such a tragedy for Bihar, which is sorely in need of such activists. Rest in peace, Buddhinath. And to Tamil Nadu Police Inspector E. Rajeshwari, who rescued a 28-year-old cemetery worker Uday Kumar in the middle of this week's Chennai floods, carrying him on her shoulders and rushing him to hospital. There couldn't have been a more appropriate time for a Tamil Nadu police officer to do such a gesture, given that the whole country is now watching the atrocities of Tamil Nadu police towards underprivileged classes through the movie JaiBhim. And to little Khajanji, whose name means cashier, the boy who was born while his mother Sarvesha stood in a queue outside a bank during the terrible days of demonetization in 2016, and who celebrated his 5th birthday this week. During his short life, Khajanji has gone through more than a year of demonetization disruption and nearly 2 years of COVID blackout. May your future years be totally unlike the 5 years that have endured, little Khajanji.